Hey everybody, welcome back to Ogre Speed Shop. So it is time to get into the heart of the beast. So we're gonna start concentrating at the stuff underneath the hood. Change out the distributor. I wanna check the cam to make sure it doesn't have any bad lobes and lifters as well, because we do have studs pulling out. So hopefully maybe we can even replace the studs this time. But as I said, like always, you never know what's gonna happen. But we're definitely going to replace the balancer, the distributor, and get this thing hopefully running to the point where we can actually drive it. Some more drivetrain stuff we got to do is I got to make new tranny cooling lines, because I don't like the rubber hose all the way forward. I like doing hard lines for that. I'll probably redo all of that, and I'll take you along with me on that. So let's get started. Since I got an HEI distributor, the first thing we're going to do is get rid of these blue wires that look awful. So let's do that real quick. All right, so one of the things we're definitely going to be putting on is this new balancer. However, there's an issue with the crank, and one of the first things I did with the balancer was paint the timing mark, because that way you can see it when you're trying to time it. But the other problem we have is the crank is stripped out. So we need to, I got a time cert on the way, so we can drill that out, tap it, and put a good time cert in there so it'll actually hold the bolt in place. Because I've tried, I was just using it to crank the motor around, and it completely stripped out. So it was stripped before. I didn't just do it by turning it, because it wasn't like that much pressure on it. It just happened to be with the time. So I got time certs on the way for that. I have a new timing cover. I'm pretty sure I got the right one, but one of the things I want to do is just get the motor up to top dead center and put the crank bolt, or put the new balancer on, and see if it lines up in this vicinity right here in the middle where the old timing mark was at. Because this doesn't show up when you do a search for 1970 GMC with a 350. This timing cover doesn't show up, and every timing cover I looked at, well, when I found, when I was looking for the one like this, it says it does not fit your 1970 GMC, but we know how that goes. So another thing I want to do is I want to check the numbers on the block here, which aren't really showing up real well, so I have to clean that off a little bit. They're showing up there. That's a little bit better. But I'll take a picture of that and see if I can research that and find out exactly what this motor is. All right, so I definitely should have done this earlier, and it explains why the timing cover doesn't match for the numbers for 1970. So I decoded that number. The V is Flint, Michigan. That's where the engine was built. 0225, that's February 25th. And the TFW is 1982. So that's why it's different. And here's the bad part. Well, not bad, it's just got to exchange it. The balancer is different. It's got a different part number. So I have to take this back, exchange it for the right one. The timing cover is the right one though, so that'll be fine as far as hooking that up. But I gotta be a little more cautious on what I order for this now, because it's not for 1970. This is a 1980 GM 350 that was put in the C20s. So that's what we gotta do. At least the distributor is all small block. But yeah, so I gotta take that balancer back before I can install it. That would have been fun trying to line that timing mark up, because it's probably in a different location. Okay, so we took the balancer for the 1970 GMs, or 1970 small block Chevy back, and exchanged it for, well, it had to be ordered, but it'll be in tomorrow, for the 1982 small block Chevy. And there's a difference, apparently. Other things I've noticed are different is the dipstick tube is on the passenger side. On the 70, it should be on the driver's side. So even getting like an oil pan will be different. But I do know that the timing cover, I checked it, and the timing cover I bought because I went off of what this one looked like rather than the numbers, that that one's actually right. So, and this thing, actually the oil pan is dented pretty badly. So I'm thinking about ordering a new pan for it too, which means it might be coming out just to make it easier to replace all this stuff and reseal it. But we want to check the studs first. Still got to tap the crank. And yeah, so there's stuff to do while we wait for the balancer to come in tomorrow. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to pull the valve covers off, see if those have loosened up anymore. Check lifters. So I think I probably will. I'm going to set it to top dead center, so that way it's at least there. And we'll check everything. We're going to check timing chain and everything. Might as well. All right, so I got it to top dead center as far as the distributor goes. And since the crank is stripped out, I discovered a 32 millimeter 12-point socket fits right on there, and you can turn it with the Woodruff key. And it's not putting enough pressure on it to do any damage, so figured what the heck, and it worked. And I just got it down top dead center so we can stab the new distributor in when it's time. But yeah, that worked. It actually fits right inside the seal. And the timing cover is getting replaced, so it doesn't matter if I tear the seal up like that. And it didn't though, it just happened to fit in there. But so we got top dead center. We're gonna pull the valve cover off to take a look at the rockers. But I must be allergic to the duck. But anyways, so yeah, we're gonna pull the valve cover off, take a look at those rockers again, see if they've loosened up again, if the stud's pulling out any further. And then I gotta check and see what size the studs are, so I know what to order for screw-in studs. One cool thing is somebody before me went ahead and replaced these gaskets with reusable ones, the metal impregnated rubber ones. So pretty nice. Haven't run it long enough to see if they actually seal or not, because I've had problem with those in the past. So yeah, that's pretty loose. So these first three ones were the ones that were kind of problematic. I think what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and pull the intake, since I haven't had coolant in it yet, and take a look at the lifters and make sure they're not, no, those are screwed up. You can see the distance difference on how far down the bolts or the nuts are for the rockers. See how much thread is showing on that one? Same with that one compared to that. So, and all the rest of them are minimal compared to what those two are. So either those studs are pulling out, or we have some messed up lifters, which means we might be doing a cam in this instead, which is fine. We have to do a little bigger cam if we do that. So anyways, let's go ahead and pull the intake off. All right, so now we're top dead center, go ahead and pull the distributor back out. All right, so let's pull the other valve cover off. Plus I want to check all the rockers. In case you missed that when I hit the gun, so I want to check all the rockers while we're at it. Well, that's the first time I pulled those without dropping one. The thing is, there isn't much underneath this thing to catch anything, so if you drop it, it usually hits the ground. So this intake's got 12-point ARP bolts on it for the intake. You can only get to it with the wrench on these middle ones. I have a feeling this is going to be a pain in the butt to get out, because I used Ultra Gray on it. Let's see if we can get this pried off here or not. This is obviously not the stock intake, because it wouldn't have been aluminum, and it wouldn't have been single plane, I don't think. It would have been cast iron, Quadra Jet style. I can't think of what I'm trying to say here. It would have had a Quadra Jet, it would have had a split bore, spread bore style carb place. What am I trying to say? I don't even know. Time to use the age-old trick of just cutting the goop. There it goes. Let's pull that off there and see what we get. Definitely had oil up here. We pull the lifter. Came out easy. I see no bad wear on that whatsoever. So take a look at that. That looks pretty good. Looks pretty normal. Take a look at the cam lobe too, just to see, but I'm happy with that. Yep, that one's good. All right, so the first one that the stud is definitely pulling out of the head, that I thought might be bad lifter, bad cam lobe. It wasn't, it was good. So the next one over that isn't pulling the head stud, or the rocker stud, but the lifter was about a 1/4 inch down inside that valley when it should be closer to like that level. Yeah, I think I found a problem. This lifter now has a cup in it. Look at that. And it was caught on the edge of the lifter port too. It didn't catch too hard. It came out pretty easily, but yep. So there's that. So I can only imagine what the cam lobe looks like. So we got a wipe cam, definitely wipe low. Let me look at the cam lobe, but I got a pretty good feeling. I'm pulling a cam. And you can also see the length difference now. It's at least an 1/8 inch, maybe 3/16 of an inch smaller. Yeah. All right, so since we know the cam is bad and lifters are bad, and I want to replace the oil pan and the timing cover and all this stuff, I think I'm going to go ahead and just pull the motor out. I think it'll be the easiest. And yep, we're going to do that. Just pull it out so we can put it on the stand and do all that stuff easily, and we can reseal the motor and make sure everything's good. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to pull the motor. Let's go ahead and get this engine out of here. All right, so we got it all ready to come out. It's separated from the transmission. If you see that 1x2 or that 1x1 tube down there, that's holding the transmission up in place. So we should be able to just lift it up, slide her out, be done. So let's get her done. All right, we got her out. It wasn't too bad. Plenty of room in here to work and play around. The only issue I had was this one mount for the power steering bracket mounts to the freaking motor mount, and there's only like a 1/2 inch of space in there to loosen it. So that was a pain in the butt, but that was the only thing that was really kind of a pain. But you see I got that 1x1 tube holding the transmission up on the frame, so that ain't gonna go nowhere. Freaking stupid battery or starter wire for the starter, it twisted off because it wouldn't loosen up the damn nut on the for the start wire. So I have to redo that one, which ain't a big deal, but still, stupid freaking wire. But anyways, that's the only problem I had, and so we gotta get this up on the stand, but I don't have bolts long enough to do it right now, so I have to go to town and get some. And when I do that and I come back, we'll get back into it. Yeah, we got it on the engine stand. Went to town, got bolts, picked up a new balancer, and that's definitely the right one for this engine because it matches the leftover part of the old one, just the center section, so we're good on that. So this thing's gonna be just tearing everything apart, taking the cam out, because pretty sure that one lobe's gonna be pretty much toast. And yeah, so let's get into tearing the cam out. All right, so let's get this party started by removing the timing cover. I'm also curious to see what the timing chain looks like. See if it's worn down. So I'm curious if one of the reasons why this thing, lost a lobe and a lifter. This is, a flat tappet cam. I wonder if the people before me didn't realize it needed a zinc additive in it. I feel like this little pry bar don't get enough use. So, I'll give it a try. Yes, I know I'm gonna rip the oil pan gasket, but we're replacing the oil pan and the gasket anyways. Oh yeah. Definitely a little crusty. Got some miles on it. It's a little loose. So it looks like we'll put a timing chain on it too. Yep. All right. Oops, that ain't gonna be strong enough. All right, this thing's gonna be getting the rockers off and the lifters out so we can pull the cam out. However, I'm waiting on some things from Summit that hopefully come tomorrow, and then we'll pull the cam out then. Probably should put a new oil pump on it too while we're at it. Well, we'll get to it. We'll figure it all out as we go. So I decided I couldn't wait. So since I'm changing the cam anyways, doesn't really matter which goes where, so. Oh, great. First one I try to take off, it's stuck. There we go. Jeez. There we go, jeez. All right, rockers are out. I'm going to grab the push rods too while we're at it. All right. Just going to pull them out and set them right where they go, just in case. Well, I don't know why it matters. Just so I know which ones are which. Oh yeah, look at that one. That one's worn down too. Yeah, this can must be completely white. Well, that one's got some wear on it too. See a weird wear pattern on that one. Yeah, it's got a weird wear pattern on it too. Kind of hot spots. Yeah, that one too. Like it hasn't been spinning properly. In case you didn't know, flat tappet cams are actually cut at a kind of an angle, so the lifters actually spin around in there to prevent it from wearing in one spot. A little hot spot there too. All right, so now you can pull the cam out. I got a cam pulling tool that I bought a long time ago. I was working on LT1s, but it didn't work for LT1s because it was designed for a small block Chevy. Now I got a small block Chevy and I have no idea where it's at. Let's see if I can pull it off with the short bolts. Oh, forgot about the fuel pump. Now the rod should be out of the way. Oh yeah, much smoother now. Feels smooth coming out. I don't see any excessive wear, so I think the bearings are going to be good. Let's take a look at those cam lobes. Oh wow, I don't know if you can see that or not. There's one of the bad ones. It should be pointy like that. I don't know how well it's showing up on the camera, but see the pointiness on that one and how flat that one is? That's not good. So we got a couple flat lobes there. Well, now the question is, how big do I want to go with the cam? Well, there's definitely time for new motor mounts too. Look at that thing. It's not even attached anymore. This one might be all right, but they're all both oil soaked, so there's no reason to keep them. They're cheap enough. And none of the exhaust manifold bolts were tight. Like I mean, they were tight, but they weren't hard to get off at all or to loosen. All right, so I got the time cert kit, but I forgot to record it. I was just kind of jumping ahead and got it done. So we got brand new 7/16 20 threads in there. But it's all Loctited in there, and hopefully that'll take care of the problem. It should at least be able to put the pulley on and hold it in place. So there's that done. Basically all you do is you drill it out to 29/64. You tap it with whatever tap that is. It's 7/16, well, it's 7/16 20 is what the thread is. Then you thread in one of these little things using this tool right here. So pretty simple. I bought a stainless steel one too, but I decided not to put that one in. I just used the regular metal one. I forgot to mention the time should also come with this little countersink tool too. So that ridge gets down below the surface. So it'll be flush against the surface. But it doesn't really matter on the crank because there's a big chamfer at the beginning of the crank anyways. See the big chamfer going in. So no big deal. Okay, so we've definitely had some of the studs that were coming out, and I've already started the process of removing the press-in studs and drill and tapping for a 3/8 16, or I'm sorry, 7/16 16, 7/16 14, whatever the heck it is. Coarse thread, 7/16, that right there. All right, so the tool I'm using is, I got it from Summit, just this little alignment tool. And you basically pull a stud out. And originally I was pulling it out by lining it up like this, but you don't have to. You can just use one end of it. Or you can just use a bunch of washers and nuts to pull it out too. But that seems to work pretty good. And then once you get that done, then you see how, if you look down the side there, that's actually threaded to 7/16 14. And it guides you into setting those up. So I'm gonna do one, demonstrate it, so y'all can see what it is. I'll probably skip through the press out part. I'll show you how I do the rest of it. So I am planning on replacing these rocker nuts and everything, so they are getting kind of chewed up by me doing this. Come on, this is the second one now. Just get it on there, you just gotta gun it out. So I thought I'd film myself replacing these ones on this side, but apparently I didn't. So we're gonna go through and show you how to do it on this side. So what I have, the way I found it works the best for doing this is you just pull one of the old ones out like this. You don't have to worry about lining it up. And the big thing is, don't use a gun to do it, because I found out that just tears up the bolts or the nuts. Just do it by hand with the ratchet and it works. There's stages to it. So watch, you can see it, it starts to pop out right away. So basically all you're doing is using a spacer. You could use washers to pull these out, or other methods. But it gets to a point where you can't turn it anymore because it gets up on the stud here. So that's where you got to add more spacers. All right, I just hit the end of the threads, so you just back it off. And I am going to be replacing these nuts with new ones eventually. And to finish it off, I use one of the rocker spacers, rocker roller things. With a couple more washers. At least one more washer should do it. Gotta be careful because these strip really easily. See how it's coming out, right? And just like that, it is out. Then I stick it in the vise to remove the nut. All right, so now that stud's out of there, if you look, you see there's a threaded area right there. So that's threaded. So you want that over the new hole, and you use this one to line up that hole. There you go, there's a gap. And there's a pin somewhere around here. So use this pin to align the hole. It's pretty tight. You gotta usually tap it off to get it off of there, but I just use one washer and then use the same nut to tighten it down on the other side. That'll lock her in place, and you can remove the pin, maybe. Sometimes you got to employ the good old channel locks. But that's lined up now, so you can go in and tap it. Make sure you get some good tapping oil on there. Don't use what I'm using. I'm using hydraulic oil or air tool oil. So you just tap it down in there. You don't need a lot of threads in it, but I just go till the tap gets below the surface of that adapter. Work your way back and forth to clear the chips. And one more ought to do it. So there should be more than enough threads to be able to screw in that stud. This will be a test of whether or not you actually watch the whole video. But I know you want to machine these surfaces so they're flat. But I don't have any way of doing that here, and I don't know of any machine shops around here yet. So I'm still pretty new to the area. Everything's a hammer, right? So that's all there is to doing that. And to do the second one, you just got to space it out a little bit. So we got to pull this off. We got that one threaded already. The only thing I've been doing is taking the chase tool and cleaning up the threads with the new studs because they're not very clean. And these aren't blind holes. They go down into the water jacket. So you want to make sure when you assemble it, you put some kind of sealer on there. There you go, that's installed. All right, so the way I found works the best for this, to tap this side, is 2 thick washers, 1 thin washer. So 2 SAE washers and 1 standard washer. Use the pin just like you did on the other one. Try to drop the washers. And you gotta space it out for the head of this bolt, for this stud now. So stick that on there. And then tighten it down over here to hold it in place. Just basically get it centered with the pin and crank her down into place to hold her in place. You can pull your pin and tap that one now. Oops. Helps to put it on the right way. All right, now I'll pull the pin and you go to tapping. And that'll do it. Just that easy. So we got that one tapped now. Blow out the chips, even though it's just blowing into the water passage, but we'll clean that out later. Clean up one of our new studs. All right, so we got tighten that stud down. Whoa, cool. All right, so I got 6 more to do. I'll be back when I'm done. So one of the things I did go back and do is I went back in and chamfered these holes because almost every kind of thread or bolt has a little lip at the very top, and you want that to be able to go smoothly down inside the hole. So I went back through and I chamfered all these. I still got to do that side, but they're not ready. They're not ready to be permanent yet anyways because I still got to Loctite them and seal them and all that good stuff. So, but that is the last one, and I am done tapping these out for screw and studs. And there you have it. All right, so I got those holes chamfered now, and I also went back through with a newer tap that's a little sharper to cut those a little bit better. So now these things thread in nice and cleanly. Where before it was catching on it, and it looks like my camera lens is glubbed up a little bit. That's better. So anyways, so now the studs go in there nice and smoothly compared to what they did before. And that's not going the right direction. So now I can torque them down, put some thread locker and or sealant on it, and torque them down, and they should be permanent. All right, so those are all in now. I don't think valve cover clearance is going to be an issue, which is what I was kind of worried about them being a little bit longer. But we'll have to wait and see till we get the rockers on there, and then we'll know for sure. But so the next thing we're going to do is going to drain the oil, see what kind of crap we find in it, and then we'll pull the oil filter and cut it open and see what we find in there too. All right, let's see what we get out of this oil. Hopefully it's not too bad, but oh, that's loose. Wonder where the leak was coming from. That's got green in it. That's not good. Hopefully it's just from when you pulled the intake. Because when I pulled the intake, there was no coolant in it. I did see some green stuff in one of the cylinders too. I think it was number 6, maybe number 4. I can't remember. So it was one of the two middle ones on the passenger side. It wasn't much green, so I don't think it's like a head gasket thing. It's being loud again. What's really strange, okay, so you know the cam had 2 bad lobes, 2 bad lifters, more on the way out. So I don't see anything shiny in the oil. So that could be a good thing. We'll definitely we're gonna pull the pan and check stuff, but as of right now, oh, there's some. I see a little bit of discoloration. It's not shiny. So let's hope whatever material came off the cam and the lifters was super fine and didn't do any damage to any bearings. So how tight you think the oil filter is? Can we get it off by hand? Let's try it out. I got a nice haircut too, by the way. Got a haircut. I went and I had him do a shave too. So the first straight razor shave I've had in years, many years. Oh yeah, that's way too tight. Nope. It's okay. I got something for that. I got 2 somethings for that. This has always been a very useful tool because it fits pretty much any oil filter. I got a smaller one too. There we go. You can damage it as well, but if it's not over tightened in the first place, it shouldn't be a problem, but you know how that goes. Let that drain out for a while, and then we will see what we find inside of it. See, they got one of the universal pan gaskets, which is just a leak waiting to happen. It's got a provision on both sides for oil dipsticks, depending on what year you have and where the dipstick's at. So they just made a gasket that fits both, but one side always leaks. Whichever side doesn't have the dipstick in will eventually leak. I guess you could combat it a little bit by putting some RTV around it, but I mean, there's a hole. What do you expect? So every bit of oil I've taken out of this, I haven't found anything super shiny in it. Don't mean nothing, but you know, it's a better sign than it being full of it. Got some crusties in it. Look at that. That's just from where the filter isn't sealed, but still. Anytime you do an oil change, make sure you check that. Clean up the surfaces in the area around where your filter goes. The freeze plugs look pretty good. They're still the steel ones. I think we're going to drain the block too while we're at it. Might as well. Because I know there's some in there, because when I put it on the stand, it's leaked out a little bit, but it's the first time I've seen coolant other than that one cylinder that one time, so I think we're going to drain that too. I'm going to put this oil drain where the stupid duck won't try to drink it. Because, yeah, he does that. Drain plug out of here. And I've already loosened it, and it was on there good, so I don't think it's ever been actually out of here. Might have a little bit of a clog in there. There we go. That should be good enough to reduce the mess a little bit when I flip her over. And we all know that's a fallacy, isn't it? All right, let's move her on over to the other side. Oh, that wasn't so bad. Let that drip out. And let's do it back up. So now you can flip the motor over now. Check out the oil pan and all that good stuff. Let's go ahead and get the oil pan off of there so we can see what kind of carnage we have in there. That came off easy. You didn't expect it to be hard, but so just looking down here in the pan, I see some sludge. How bad is it? Yeah, it's pretty bad. But hey, what do you expect when you have two cam lobes that are completely shot? And this thing's dented too. I want to make sure I'm going to replace this as well. But yeah. We'll have to flip her over and see what we see. Maybe pull a couple rod bearings or rod caps and maybe a main cap and see what we see. Hopefully there isn't any damage to the bearings on those. Never know, we might get lucky. What am I thinking? So I really doubt this idea is going to work, but I took a bunch of these magnets trying to hold the brag in there so when I flip it, it doesn't make a huge mess, but I got a feeling it probably ain't gonna work. So let's go ahead and flip this thing over. So when you look at the crank and all the bearings. Definitely gonna do a rear main seal too while it's out. Now the other thing I gotta try to avoid is somebody who needs to get into stuff. Hopefully he doesn't walk into the whoever might decide to fall out of this. A little bit of coolant from somewhere. Oh, from the intake ports. That wasn't so bad. Turn this up. Catches more, I guess. You stay out of that. You see a bunch of stuff on the screen. Hopefully we got lucky. And between the screen and the filter, all that cam material and whatnot didn't get into the bearings. So, yeah, I think we'll go ahead and We'll probably pull the oil pump off. We're gonna replace that. Put a good milling unit on it. Oh, okay. I just spotted something that's awesome. What do you all see? This is a 4-bolt main. That's awesome. I didn't realize it was a 4-bolt main. So this is, the numbers come back as a 1982 350. So yeah, pretty cool. That actually makes me really happy. So I know it's going to be a little loud with the heater going, but it's only 40 degrees in here right now. But I've been scraping at the bottom of the pan. Definitely a lot of metal. But you know, what do you expect from a back cam bearing and or back cam lobe and 2 bad lifters? So I'm going to clean the pan up. I think I'm going to just try. I'm going to straighten the pan out, get the dent out of it, just reuse it rather than spend 60 bucks on a new pan. And yeah, we'll go from there. We're going to pull some caps off today, and we're going to cut open the oil filter that came off of it so we can see what that's caught. But yeah, it's pretty much typical what you'd expect to see. So I'm going to clean this up, fix the pan, and that way we can reuse it when the time comes. So you can kind of see how the pan is bulged up here. So I'm just going to take a hammer to it and see if I can flatten it out again. All right, so I got that out a little bit. There's still a little bit of a ding right there in the corner, but the drain plug is flat. The bottom's flat now. Good enough for government. All right, so let's cut this thing open. Got this cool little tool from Amazon. Just stick it on there. Let me get it out to size first. It's just like a tubing cutter, basically. You stick it on there. It's got nice bearings, and you just spin it around and tighten as you go. And it'll cut open the top of it. It's the first time I've used this, by the way. I bought it originally for something. What did I buy it for? Maybe to cut open the Lexus oil filter or something? I don't remember. I'm trying to be quick about it because it's cold in here and can't hear me over the turbo heater, so. There we go, and it's making a mess. Figure most of it had drained. Guess not. Ooh. Maybe we did get lucky and that caught all the freaking crap because that's thick. I think we're gonna find some good stuff in that when we cut it open. But that's all it is to using this. Just use it like a regular can or like a pipe cutter or tubing cutter. And it's pretty nice. Full of oil. Yeah, that's definitely some thick oil. I know it's cold, but I don't think it's going to be that bad. And you can definitely see some sparklies in there. So hopefully the filter did its job and, you know, caught all the mess from the cam bearing. I'm not sorry, not the cam bearing, from the cam lobe and the lifter. But that's wishful thinking, which is why we're going to pull caps off to pull the oil pump off. I'm replacing that anyways. So yeah, we'll cut that open and see what's in it. So you can absolutely see that this thing is just chock full of crud. So it definitely is doing its job as far as filtering. But remember, filters do have bypasses too. So we are going to be pulling main caps and rod caps off next to see if we have any damaged bearings. Hopefully we don't, because I don't want to replace bearings. I just want to do a flush and go for it. So we'll see. So yeah, it's definitely a pretty nasty oil filter. I can't wait to see what we find underneath the main caps and rod caps. But this video's gotten a little bit long, so we're gonna continue this on the next video, and we're gonna break in or cut. I don't know how you want to say that. We're gonna open up the main caps and the rod bearing caps and see what we got in there. Hopefully we don't have too much damage. And if it can be cleaned up, then great. We'll flush the engine once we get it running again. And then hope for the best. Get a cam in there and go from there. So if you like this video, go and leave a like down there. Leave me a comment. Let me know what I can do better. And subscribe while you're at it. So I appreciate y'all watching till this part. I appreciate y'all watching till the end. And until next time, I'll see y'all later.